What happens when a friendly morning show interview turns into a complete meltdown on live television? When a guest's perfect public image falls apart in real time, revealing years of frustration and hidden tension. Today, we're breaking down one of the most unbelievable moments in morning TV history, when best-selling author Brandon Lake lost his composure during what was supposed to be a simple book promotion on the Today Show. This wasn't just another uncomfortable celebrity moment. It was a full-blown on-air eruption that had viewers stunned and social media buzzing for weeks. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe and tell me in the comments what you think really caused Brandon's outburst, because there's definitely more to this story than it seems. The Today Show studio buzzed with its usual early morning energy as Hoda Kotb got ready for what looked like a routine author interview. Brandon Lake, the acclaimed writer behind 3 back-to-back New York Times bestsellers, was there to talk about his latest novel, a dark psychological thriller that had already sparked controversy for its mature themes and haunting tone. But no one expected the real drama to unfold live in Studio 1A. Hoda began warmly. "We're here with best-selling author Brandon Lake, whose new book has everyone talking. Good morning, Brandon. Thanks for being here." Brandon shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "Thanks for having me, Hoda, though I have to say I'm curious how you'll handle this interview given what I've been hearing lately." The remark caught Hoda off guard. Her smile faltered slightly. "I'm not sure what you mean. We're just here to talk about your book." Brandon's tone sharpened. "Are we, though? Because I've done about 15 interviews this week, and every single one has turned into an interrogation about my personal life instead of my work." Hoda stayed professional. "When you write about such deep psychological themes, people naturally wonder what inspired you. Your latest book deals with trauma, family secrets, and dark emotions." "Exactly," Brandon shot back. "And that's the problem. Everyone wants to analyze me instead of my writing. My book stands on its own." "Of course," Hoda replied smoothly. "But the similarities between your main character's childhood and what you've shared about your own past are quite striking." Brandon's jaw clenched. "What similarities exactly? I'm getting tired of people trying to turn my fiction into autobiography." Hoda glanced at her notes, trying to steady the conversation. "Your protagonist struggles with abandonment and authority issues. In a 2019 interview, you said you grew up without your father and had a hard time with teachers who didn't understand your creativity." "That was years ago," Brandon snapped. "I was in therapy then and probably overshared. That doesn't mean every character I write is me." Tension filled the studio. "I think readers connect with authors who are open about their experiences," Hoda said. "Open," Brandon echoed, his voice rising. "You mean exploited? Every time I try to discuss craft, interviewers want to pick at my personal life like it's a spectacle." "Brandon, I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable," Hoda said carefully. "Let's talk about your writing process. How do you create such complex characters?" "Through research and imagination," he answered sharply. "Not by turning my personal issues into entertainment." "But surely your life experiences influence your work?" Hoda pressed. "Most authors draw from their own emotions." Brandon stared at her. "I thought this show might be different, that we'd talk about storytelling. But no, even here, it's all about trauma." The studio went still. Hoda tried to recover. "I apologize if it feels that way. Your books resonate deeply with readers." "Don't patronize me," Brandon snapped. "You have your producer's notes telling you exactly which wounds to poke." "This isn't journalism. It's gossip disguised as conversation." Hoda's voice tightened. "I'm surprised by your reaction. Most authors appreciate exploring how their personal lives shape their work." "Most authors?" Brandon laughed bitterly. "You mean those who don't mind performing their pain for your audience?" "I'm not one of them." "I'm not going to pretend my father leaving when I was 8 defines me as a writer." "Nobody's saying that," Hoda said firmly. "But you did write about abandonment and mentioned your father before." "Once," Brandon said, gesturing wildly. "And now it follows me everywhere. Every interview turns into another therapy session." Producers gestured frantically off camera, unsure whether to cut to commercial. "Brandon, you're being unfair," Hoda said. "We're discussing your book, which touches on family and trauma." "It touches on those things because they're universal," he said. Do you think Stephen King writes horror because he's insane? Or Gillian Flynn writes about dark relationships because she's lived them? Writers explore pain because it makes good stories, not because they're broken. That's fair, Hoda replied. But readers are curious about the link between art and life. Curious, sure, Brandon sneered. But what you're doing is voyeurism. You want me to bleed for your viewers, not think about the art. The crew exchanged nervous glances as Hoda tried to stay composed. The Today Show has always been about connecting with our guests. Connecting? Brandon shouted. By ambushing them with questions about their trauma? You're trying to pull something out of me I never agreed to share. Brandon, with respect, you're a public figure, Hoda said, her patience thinning. You've spoken about these things before. Oh, right, Brandon mocked. So once you say something once, it belongs to everyone forever. You people dissect every word and pretend it's concern. That comes with being a successful author, Hoda said coolly. Public interest is part of the job. Brandon stared at her in disbelief. Part of the job? My trauma is part of the job now? That's insane. Hoda's calm slipped. Brandon, you're being hostile. We invited you to promote your book. Your behavior is unprofessional. Unprofessional? Brandon laughed bitterly. You mean refusing to be exploited? Turning a literary talk into a therapy circus is what's unprofessional. I've interviewed world leaders and never seen anything like this, Hoda snapped. Maybe because they knew better than to trust you, Brandon shot back. They didn't make the mistake I did, thinking honesty would be treated with respect. You're being unreasonable, Hoda said sharply. Maybe this is just a publicity stunt. The words hit like a slap. Brandon froze, then repeated slowly, A publicity stunt? I'm just saying, Hoda continued, authors sometimes create controversy to boost sales. Brandon stood so fast his chair hit the wall with a crash. You think I'd humiliate myself on national TV for attention? Are you insane? Brandon, please sit down, Hoda urged, but it was useless. No, you want to know why I'm angry? Because people like you have made it impossible for artists to exist without being dissected. That's not true, Hoda said, but he kept going. Every book I write gets turned into a mirror for my personal life. I write about love, I must be lonely. I write about death, I must be suicidal. You people don't believe in imagination anymore. Writers always draw from experience, Hoda began, but Brandon cut her off. There it is again. Even now you're doing it. You just can't help yourself. The set was chaos. Crew members didn't know whether to keep filming. You need to calm down, Hoda said shakily. We can take a break. Now you want to end it? Brandon laughed bitterly. After you got your dramatic moment? This is exactly what you wanted. I never wanted this, Hoda whispered, clearly shaken. Didn't you? Brandon's voice cracked. You kept pushing even when I asked you to stop. Because this meltdown, is what your show feeds on. Not books. Not art. Just pain. He picked up his book from the table, staring at it. You want to know what this book is about? It's about the death of privacy. About a world where everything is content. Where people like you believe they're entitled to every part of someone's soul. He set it down gently, exhausted. I wrote this book as a warning, he said softly. And now we're living it. The studio was silent except for the hum of cameras. Hoda finally spoke. We're going to cut to commercial. Good, Brandon said, taking off his mic and dropping it on the floor. Because I'm done. Was Brandon right to lose control, or did he go too far? Was it just the questions, or something deeper that triggered him? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more of the most unforgettable moments in television history.